Hello, grade 2. I'm here with a book called Wiggling Worms at Work. We've taken a look at bumblebees and butterflies, and so I wanted to take a look at worms. So this book is by Wendy Pfeiffer, and HarperCollins is the publisher. So worms are very helpful. So let's have a look. Okay, down in the ground under your feet, thousands of worms wiggle around flower bulbs and tunnel under trees. They twist and turn, eating almost anything in their way. These wiggling worms are at work. So it says, farmers plow their fields to loosen the soil. Crumbly soil lets the roots of plants spread out and grow. Worms also loosen the soil as they wiggle along. They are nature's plows. Okay, so farmers have plows that plow the field to crumble up the dirt, but worms are a natural thing that does that. As worms twist and turn, they push aside the soil. This creates tunnels. Air flows through the tunnels, and rainwater can get down into those tunnels too, for the roots of trees and plants to drink up. That moist ground helps them grow better. So you can see all their tunnels on this page. Worms tunnel in hard, packed soil. By swallowing the soil, they eat it. The soil goes in the worm's mouth, slides into the crop, and then passes down through their gizzard, like their stomach. Worms do not have teeth. Muscles, fine grains of sand, and small stones in the stomach, the gizzard, grind up the soil. Worms digest leaves and plant bits that are found in the soil, just like you would digest a salad that you ate. What's left passes through a worm's body and comes out its tail end in the form of pellets. Okay, so this is basically like its poop. These pellets make good plant food. They help fruits and vegetables grow bigger and better. So if you're a gardener and you're trying to get something to grow, you want worms. Sometimes worms crawl above the ground. When they tunnel back down into the ground, they pull dead leaves and plants down with them. So if there's any plants or leaves on the surface, they pull it back down. These plants make the soil better as they rot. Seeds come down too, and some of these seeds send out roots. New seedlings sprout. Worms help plants begin to grow. Worms can wiggle and twist and even tie themselves into a knot because they have no backbone. Their soft bodies are made of rings and segments. They act like coils on a slinky and allow the worm to bend. A worm has no legs, but they do have these little bristles that act like legs and help the worm to move. Strong muscles allow the worm to stretch out to become long and thin. They can also squish up, making them short and fat. But worms have predators. The worm wiggles along, stretching and slinking. With all its wiggling, twisting, and turning, it's a wonder a worm even knows where it's going. It has no eyes, no nose, no ears, and barely even any brain at all. But a worm knows what's happening nearby. It can feel vibrations, a rumbling on the ground, and sense a very hungry robin. Quickly, the worm slips back underground. Hiding is the only way it can protect itself from enemies. Worms also hide from the sun. They must live in damp soil since they breathe air through their moist skin. In the hot sun, their skin dries up and they can't breathe. So those are adaptations that it has to help it survive. So when you think about a worm's habitat, it needs plants, it needs warm, moist, wet soil. It needs like rotting leaves and roots to eat. Sometimes they crawl on the surface to find food, maybe a dead plant, and drag it back down under the ground. Worms also eat mold. They slurp the hair-like strands of mold the same way you might slurp up spaghetti. Ooh. Worms eat at the entrance of the burrows. Then each worm covers any leftover plants with its poop. The pile of worm poop is called midden. And they pile it on top of their burrow here, kind of like a door to close it. It keeps out the rain. Let's see. We'll just keep reading on here because I just want to focus on the habitat. And of course they lay eggs, okay? So they need more worms to go. Now, another thing is, of course, in the winter. So the soil freezes at the top, so they plug up their tunnels and move down deeper into warmer soil, and they stay there until spring. And then when it gets warmer, they start to wiggle and tunnel back up, okay, till they're at the top or near the top again. So again, that's another thing they do to adapt and survive. Vegetables and flowers grow better, trees grow bigger, grass gets greener because of thousands of wiggling worms that are all at work. So it's important that we know that worms are helpful to us, but they're also part of a robin's food chain. So we can't forget that part too, that worms are an important part of the food chain because there are predators or other animals that eat the worm. Bye-bye.